following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I'm your host. As always, thank you for joining us here. We're happy to be here with you. I'm really looking forward to today's show. The beautiful Miss Jessie's here with us.
Hello.
And we have a really exciting guest here for you today. And so I know you guys just watched the intro, but for anyone that does not know, Exit Team takes people with real life experiences, with pain, suffering, addiction, trauma, people that have resources. We offer education and hope, and the goal and the idea is that we bring it right into your living room. So everyone that comes on the show has some type of experiences with the topics that I had just said. So we're going to dive right into it today. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Who are you?
My name is Lissette Carrasquillo. Lisa Maria Guadalupe Carrasquillo, technically.
Okay, all right. Okay, sounds good. Right.
Most people know me on Facebook as Lissette Sobriety or Sober Lissette. So.
Okay, all right, cool. And what brings you to the show today?
Just here to spread the goodness and talk recovery with you ladies. I'm so excited to be here. Like, really excited. I
was so excited when Jessie sent me your information. I was like, how have I never thought of this? This is the most perfect guest ever.
We don't even know each other that well, you know.
Oh, really?
Like we've only met a couple of times, and we met one time, and then we're connected on Facebook. So like you can tell when someone's recovering loudly and when someone has, you know, a strong recovery game, you know. And then I had invited her on the show, and she said yes. And then we saw each other at my home group at a mutual meeting.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like divine intervention or whatever.
Yeah,
so it was pretty cool. Yeah.
So Lissette, tell me like a little bit about yourself. So just like a little bit for you of like what it was like. So like what qualifies you, what brings you to recovery? Because you do recover loudly. You have like a lot of followers. I like love all these posts, and I look up and I'm like, of course it's Lissette. Of course it's Lissette.
I know.
Yeah.
For sure.
A lot of followers. There's like 6 people, I swear.
Before you go, can you tell the audience how they can follow you on Facebook? One more time.
Yeah, you can just follow me. My Facebook name is Lissette Sobriety, Sobrenity.
All right. Cool. They should follow you.
She got some good memes and some good
Yeah,
hope,
it's all about the dank memes.
Exactly.
But yeah, you know, I try to keep my social media really inspirational and funny, and you know, the shits and giggles is the hashtag I like to use. But just about recovery. I didn't even have social media before I got sober, which is July 12th, 2016. I was off of Facebook. I was taking a hiatus because I was just using it in a toxic way. You know, being the good recovered person that I am, I could almost use anything toxically, and Facebook is no exception, you know?
Right.
So I was off of it for like, I think 3 or 4 years. And I got back into it because when I first came around, everybody was telling me about these conferences and how I needed to be on this committee and this funny page. So I started it up again. The first year was Sober Lissette. And I mean, I look back at some of those posts now and I'm just like,
oh my God, I can't even look back at my Facebook.
What was I going through? I was eating all the Haagen-Dazs, yeah.
Facebook
or
memories
just
are my favorite.
some of the things that I've said on Facebook or
right.
the things that I've posted, like especially during active addiction and stuff. It's just like pretty embarrassing.
Active addiction, like the beginning of recovery too, like
bad crap
crazy.
yeah.
Talking about like, I don't even know. It's just, I was on some stuff, you know, was not thinking clearly, but I'm so glad that I rode the wave and it just kept coming.
It's so funny that like that's a thing because like that was me. I was like, everyone needs to know that I found recovery and that
Exactly.
yeah.
There's like 4,000 selfies of me like,
No idea what the anonymity was. I couldn't even spell anonymity. It was like anonymity.
Yeah. Couldn't say it for sure.
Yeah, I
either.
learned a lot of things the hard way, but thank goodness it was in a loving, loving way. You know, because I didn't have that before. You know, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm sure you might be able to hear the accent, but it was just like toxic, you know, and I came from like a cycle of abuse, you know, so it was like my dad did things to my mom did things to me, and I like kicked my sister, and my sister would kick the cat. And at the time in Brooklyn, there was a lot of, you know, gang activity on top of it, you know, so I started drinking really early. I started drinking when I was 10. I had my first addiction experience when I was only 11, and it wasn't even with drugs. It was with candy. It was with sugar.
Yeah.
And I abused all that too in year one. But anyways, it just, I didn't have that type of fellowship, that type of loving and positive reinforcement. Everything was negatively reinforcing. You know, I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, so the belts, you know, the whip, whatever you could get is normal. You know, these things were normal. But at the end of the day, the resiliency that like I got out of it is indescribable, you know, and I really feel like I survived some amazing things, and it just really made me who I am. So I don't regret a minute of it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why I believe there's healing in laughter. And I try to post those funny things, and I try to keep it inspirational, because if you can't laugh at the darkest parts of myself, at least if I can't laugh at the darkest parts of myself, you know, it's like, you know, who am I? Have I really healed from it?
Right.
You know? It's just another way to heal. So
How'd you end up in New Hampshire?
How'd I end up in New Hampshire? Well, I went from Brooklyn, New York to Lawrence, Massachusetts. My family separated, and I lived in Lawrence for 11 years, and that's pretty much where a lot of my adolescent debauchery started happening. I moved from Lawrence, Massachusetts, because I promised myself I would not live in Lawrence longer than I lived in Brooklyn. Like, I mean, resentment could have been my middle name. And I moved from there to Virginia, to Mass for a little while, and then landed in New Hampshire. So I just kept going north and north and north. You know, it's kind of ironic that I've been called back to Massachusetts again recently, and I'm a mass hole once again. So yeah, it's been, I can't even explain it. I move a lot, you know, and I think that's part of the surviving thing. You know, I'm used to surviving, so I moved a lot of places. I never really had roots. I always had wings, you know, fight or flight.
Yeah.
So moving was normal to me. It's nice to have actually a home and a community that loves me now. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So, roots. I got roots.
I like that though, how you said that I don't have roots, I have wings. That's really a sweet way to look at it, you know?
Yeah, like I used to hear people say you can't have roots and wings, you know, growing up. So it was like, all right, well, if you stay too long, you die. So I did what I had to do to keep moving. You know, but you can't escape yourself. I took myself everywhere I went. And I ruined every opportunity that I had. I mean, when I was in high school, I got a scholarship to Bridgewater State. And I pretty much discovered cakes and eggs, and I failed immediately in my first year. And when I moved to Virginia, you know, I tried different relationships. I tried different types of therapies, but I just brought myself everywhere I went. And my delusion was so real in my addiction. Like, I honestly believed that was the truth. I really believed it. You know, they say that whole how thing, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Like, my honesty was really sick. You know, it took a lot of humility to break down those barriers, to reprogram the way that I thought, to deconstruct that ego, to challenge my ideas.
Yeah, you hear like the word ego, and I think a lot of people's perception is like ego is, oh, you think you're better than. But like for me, ego shows up as I'm not good enough. I'm less than. Poor me. Yeah. It's so funny that you brought that up because on the way here, I was like thinking about this blog that I want to write. I always come up with these blog ideas and I never write them. But I was thinking about what if I believed my thoughts and that's all I could be? You know? Because every goal that I've ever set for myself, the universe has given me so much more. And then once I get there and I'm like, okay, like this is it. And then it's like, here you go, here's even more. And like, you know, like my life is pretty good. And it's just like, I look around sometimes and I'm like, I can't even believe this because I came from poverty. I came from abuse. I came from neglect. I came from a long history of poverty, abuse, neglect. And I never realized that I could be more than that cycle, you know? And the most beautiful thing I think about myself, finding my way out of it and breaking that cycle is that family members are following my footsteps. And it's like I'm healing my pain, but by doing that, like I'm healing like lineages of pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're breaking the cycle. We're breaking the chain. I love that. I love that so much. And I'm all about the women empowerment. You know, there's that, I forget.
Empowered women empower women.
Right. I forget what proverb it is, but talking about like, you know, if you educate a woman, you educate a village, you educate a generation.
Yeah.
You know, and breaking those toxic cycles of abuse that have been passed down from generations, stopping and saying, you know what, this isn't normal. I'm the first person in my family to say I'm an alcoholic and I'm an addict and I'm dual diagnosed. So I also deal with mental health issues. I got these 2 dogs on a leash that I keep in constant check, which I can do today. But being the first person to say that, it's opened the doors for like cousins to reach out to me, you know, for other women who might not have known a different path. And it's tough because when we talk about abuse, you know, sexual abuse and it's a hard topic, I feel like, for women to get by. You know, oh, well, why didn't you leave him sooner? Things like that. You know, I've lost some significant things in my life. Like I lost a child because of abuse. And I really want to share these things, not to be like, oh, poor her, you know, well, she grew up in gangs and she grew up in Brooklyn and she was beaten and she lost his child. I don't want to share those things because it's like, poor me. I want to share them because I want people to know there is nothing we cannot come out of. You know, there is a message of hope out there. There is a solution. And that's what I'm trying to feed these people. And if we have to laugh at the ugliest parts of ourselves to get that little crack of light to come out of us, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's so funny that you said that because I was thinking about this on the way over. And like I post a lot on Facebook and stuff. And that's not because it's because I think I'm so great. It's because I want somebody else out there to know that I am living proof that you can burn your life to the ground and still rise from the ashes, you know? And so like it gives someone hope that wherever they're at, they can come out of it.
Right.
You know?
And also how we do it. You know, I work a very thorough program of a 12-step recovery, but I'm also a recovery coach. So I love all types of models like, you know, 3 principles, smart recovery. It doesn't matter what you're into. If you're trying to get recovered, go for it.
I don't even care what you're trying to do. I love you. Wherever you're at, it's cool. Like, you know, I love you. It doesn't matter.
We need that positive reinforcement. And I'm just all about that life, you know, really trying to live it.
I can't imagine like if somebody, when I was in active addiction or whatever, you know what I mean, said like, I love you and it's okay to be the way you are.
Cringed.
You know what I mean?
like you're weird.
Yeah, I know, but like having somebody support you and say that like, this is where you're at and you're okay. And like, it doesn't make you bad and it doesn't define you. And, you know, and knowing those things, and trying, like being able to like, give that to somebody else. It's pretty cool.
Hearing that I wasn't a bad person, that I was a sick person was life-changing for me. Learning about the disease of alcoholism and addiction was a life-changing thing for me because this isn't a moral issue. You know what I mean? I am a sick woman, but there is a solution. And you follow the solution and you get more than what you could promise yourself.
So there were several times throughout my life, because I was in an active addiction from the age of 9 to the age of 32. So and even before I picked up at the age of 9, my whole life, from my earliest memory, was suffering. And so when I was 32 years old, the way that a disease model was broken down for me in a different way that it had ever been. No one in this world hated me more than I hated myself. No one in this world judged me more than I judged myself. No one in this world carried more shame, more stigma for like the loser, homeless, junkie, drug addict, because that's how I felt about myself, than me. And when someone set me down, and in that moment, for some reason, and showed me the disease model and the way that they showed it to me, I literally just cried and cried and cried, because I was like, oh, it's okay. You're actually not those things, you know? But for some reason, until that very moment, I was never able to receive that message.
It's difficult. There's a lot of conflicting messages out there in general. I mean, even there's even toxic messages about like self-love, right? Toxic people, cut these toxic people off. It's toxic behaviors. You know, there are no toxic people in this world. We all have toxic behaviors.
And behaviors are learned.
Right, that we're learning to reprogram.
Yep.
You know? So I really, the words we say are so important.
I see people all the time, they like make like really shameful posts, like bashing, like people sitting on their spiritual hilltop, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, like whatever you have to do to like find your release, but you're kind of doing like what you're telling people not to do. You know? Like you're literally judging and shaming people for like acting to be this, but like what you're doing is like an unhealthy coping mechanism. So,
right. And I get it. I was totally that person. When I first found spirituality and I decided, screw all the religions and I'm going to be spiritual, I got on my arrogant soapbox and I shouted from the rooftops, you didn't read The Secret, so you don't know about this, and you don't know about the man that's holding us down, and you were sheep and you're asleep. And oh my goodness, I was a maniac. Getting to that place of balance, you know, knowing that everything, I love the yin and the yang, you know, there's a little bit of dark in the light, a little bit of light in the dark.
Yes.
Everything needs everything else.
And no one is right and no one is wrong.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like whatever. Yeah. All right, sure. That I don't know.
Right,
Whatever.
live and let live. That works for you. Cool, bro. Cool.
I literally don't know. It might work for me too. I have no idea.
And it's interesting too, because like it's kind of freeing or like empowering to know that like when I have a disagreement with somebody or I find someone that I clash with, you know, I know today that's not a reflection of my worth, you know, and like that they a lot of the time are struggling with something as well, or you know they're a sick person too, and you know we're all in progress. And
or sometimes, you know what I notice is I will see something in someone and it'll make me cringe, or like I don't like, and then after a period of time of reflecting, I'm like, oh, that's because I don't like that about me.
It's because it's missing in me,
right? Or it's something that needs to be healed in me.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, that is so true. What we see in others is a reflection of self. I absolutely believe that, and it's taken some outside work to get there too, because I couldn't even identify certain emotions in the beginning. Everything was just angry for me. You know, I didn't know, oh, well, this is a sad feeling. Oh, well, this is grief. Oh, this is jealousy. Like I didn't know those other things.
Right.
You know, so I feel like that's like kind of the advantage of getting a chance to, you know, have a therapist and be dual diagnosis, is to be able to learn other techniques, you know, like CBT, DBT, mindfulness, you know, things outside of a recovery program. I love me some meditation, goodness, but I never would have gotten there if I didn't learn how to just focus on doing my dishes or smoking one cigarette at a time. And now I don't even smoke cigarettes. Right. So, you know.
CBT and DBT were like game changers for me, you know, and the 3 principles, you know, and then I kind of got those things because I refused to do 12-step, you know, and then I was finally at a place where like I was ready to honestly try 12-step, and having those other tools really was helpful, and it still is helpful, you know. And like for me, I have to still see my therapist weekly, you know. I have to continue to do that work. Otherwise I just don't, I have trouble staying right sized. Either it's I'm bigger than or I'm less than, you know. And that ego thing for me took me so long to figure out that it goes both ways, you know. And feeling like I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy and everything's all about, you know, me, whether it's I'm good or bad, is ego, you know?
Because we're all perfect and we're all right, whether we
We're
like it or
we're all
not.
farting
Right.
rainbows.
But we really are all right where we need to be. And like our
Exactly.
mind perceives it to like, well, I need this or I need that, or it's like, no, I just like need to chill and just love people.
Right.
It's literally
Feel
it.
the process, feel the emotions, learn to identify them. For me, learning to identify them was a huge step. And, then just riding the wave. Right.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's not about you. If anything, it's that drop in the water. I always come back to this, that ripples out,
Yeah.
and that's how waves are created. And that's how things get destruct and destroyed and rebuilt again. I love me some nature.
I wish I could just pause all the time and like not react and have that skill. I think it comes with time, right?
Yeah,
But-
practice.
Or it's like I can like sit there very like straight faced and be like, okay, and like not like say to you, but in my head I'm like, you're an idiot.
I'm gonna cut you.
And then I have to go home and be like, wow, well, like why were you so bothered by that? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. The thoughts inside of my head, they're
Yeah.
a whole whirlwind of different.
I just still don't have a filter. Like it's problematic.
I do. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing though, because a lot of times I don't honor my truth.
Okay.
I'll hold back,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Because I'll be like, working the audience, you know what I mean? And then I'll go home and be like, probably should have said that.
Right.
But did you go to treatment?
I didn't actually technically go through treatment. I got inpatient and hospitalized at a psychiatric unit, and I
Okay.
did detox the good old fashioned way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweating and screaming in a psychiatric
Yeah.
unit.
Been there.
Okay.
After that, I found the halls immediately of a 12-step program, and
Okay.
I got immersed. Like I joined the New Hampshire State Conference for Young People, and it was like this huge paradigm shift. I could have fun.
Yeah.
I have a life still.
Did you like go to sober living? Like
I
you just
did not.
you just had a place to live and found
I had to
support.
take a leave of absence. I've always had a career. By career, I'm a medical biller and coder. I went to school for this. That's my bread and butter. I've been doing it for 18 years. So I had to follow up with FMLA.
Yeah.
And I had to go through those processes.
Yep.
Which we don't really talk a lot, but it's paperwork and it's hard to do when you're in recovery. I had
Yeah.
to go through partial hospitalization program, then I did intensive outpatient program.
So you
That's
did like a
treatment.
continuous
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
PHP and
Okay, yes,
IOP.
then yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like a detox facility. My bad.
Well, I mean, you thought you meant like inpatient.
Yeah.
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 But yeah. No, that's
I
still
was
treatment.
inpatient just in the psychiatric ward, and then I did all those other things, and I was blessed to have decent insurance.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, like it was a lot of it was in Massachusetts. I want to see more happen in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I want to see more legislative practices go through because we need more for mental health.
You're looking at
We
your
need
girl.
more.
Look over there.
We need more for substance abuse.
Yeah.
So it's like just you get out of one program and then that's it in New Hampshire. I had to go to all the way to Boston to get treatment sometimes. I had to go to McLean to find
I've
good
been
treatment
there.
there.
That's a
Yeah,
good
they have a
place.
great women's
Yeah.
trauma program.
Yeah.
Shout out to McLean
Yeah.
and Anna Jakes. I'm like
you
alumni
gotta
there.
have the insurance for it though.
Right, exactly. And even
It's also
still,
really hard to get into the women's trauma program at McLean's. I've
It
tried
is.
to help some people there, and it was I didn't have enough time to work with them because the waiting list was so extensive, which I guess is more of a reflection of how limited resources are that everyone
Right.
has to go to.
right, there's just
Yeah.
not enough. And there's not enough even like beds for women. There's always a
Yeah.
ratio of more beds for men than women.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Not saying that this disease cares if you're a man or a woman. It does not. But we need to even the playing field. We really do. We have a lot of work to do. I
Right.
feel like, and I get to work with the Medicaid population. I'm an appeals coordinator, so my whole role is to advocate for the patients. Every day I go into work and I'm fighting an appeal to make sure somebody gets their Suboxone, or something like that. Like
That's
this is
awesome.
this
Yeah.
is like a daily thing, and it's just too common. It's too common, But little drops in the water, right, making the ripples.
Right. Right.
I think society's come a long way though.
Yeah.
Over like the last I know since I've gotten sober.
Yeah, I
it's
was
come
in the
really
last
far.
like 3
I mean,
3 years,
like,
Yeah.
Let's not even that long ago. there was like what Farnham Center in New Hampshire where you could go to detox.
Phoenix House.
Farnham and
yeah.
Phoenix. Yeah, like that was it for
Right.
New Hampshire Medicaid. At least you know they're opening up more resources. We've got like we have respites now, which are great. I mean, we have like hub and spokes. We've got.
I remember when I was trying to get you know, find recovery and during my active addiction, and I was on state Medicaid, and it was like, oh, you're addicted to heroin? We don't accept you to detox for that because it's not life or death.
Yes, I remember.
And I'm
that
like,
too.
what do you mean? All these people are dying because you know they're going back out and the fentanyl is killing them. They said it's not life or death. So you need to, if you have benzos in your system and you are using heroin and benzos, then you are at risk for seizures. So then you can get admitted into a detox. So then, you know, you're like, okay, so then, you know, you end up using more drugs than you need to try to get better. But that's what they said. It's not life or death. You can detox at home. I literally remember the phone call, you know, and now, I mean, it's a little bit different.
I think the best we had it was like around 2016 where like the state insurances, like you could get Blue Cross Blue Shield and like Cigna policies and people could go to whatever treatment centers were in network with those policies.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
not the case anymore.
Yeah, and you're right, it's not the case anymore. The face of addiction has changed. Therefore, more resources, more policies, more programs are coming into play, and I am very grateful for that. But this has been happening forever and a day. The war against drugs didn't start 3 years ago. You know, for my particular population, you know, the Hispanic and the Black community, this has been a tale as old as time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother basket of worms that I'm not going to get into today. But
Second show.
Yeah, seriously.
Lissette gets her own show.
Yeah.
it's just good though to see change, and it's good to be able to recover out loud because I want to change the way people talk about recovery. I want to change the way people think in our heads. You know what I mean? Like even myself, I'm still trying to replace words with other words to be a more positive influence.
That's one of the trainings that I do with the Recovery Friendly Workplace is stigma and safe language training. We teach like the person first language, like a person in long-term recovery or a person with a substance use disorder versus saying, you know, addict or alcoholic, you know, and so, you know,
I love to say that I'm a recovered alcoholic and addict. That's my bread and butter. It might ruffle some feathers in some halls, but
I love it when it ruffles feathers. I'm like, I'm Jasmine and I am a drug addict.
Well, and it's different when you're talking about yourself. You can talk about yourself however you want.
I use it in a very empowering way. I came from the streets with nothing and had to like fight for what I had, and like now I'm like a dignified and like classy woman, and like
it's different when you like are reading an article in the paper or the news is speaking and they're stigmatizing people that are experiencing you know, addiction.
we have a long way to go. But, you know, the way I feel about it is because I can get caught up in all of that stuff out there and what needs to be changed. I just really try to come back to the one person I can help. You know, and if a meme does that, cool. Because memes have brought people into my inbox, you know, saying, hey, you know, I need to know more, or, you know, how did you do it? And like I said earlier, I mailed a big book to a friend just a week ago. It's such a blessing. It's such a blessing.
Do you want to say anything to everybody before you head out?
No, if you have any questions, just reach out. Lissette Sobriety. Please keep coming because you are so, so worth it. And if no one told you today, I love you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and coming tonight. And there is hope, and reach out, and we'll see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.